Hey up everybody, welcome back to the Aldo Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be doing a quick preview for the Velogames Lombardia. I'm going on a long weekend, so I won't be able to do a video later on. So the start list isn't fully complete, but I thought I'd give you some opinions anyway. Yeah, just be sure to drop me a message if you've got any inquiries or whatever, because I'd be happy to help you out. But anyway, of course we've got Pogacar here, he's the most expensive. And I think that it makes a lot of sense to pick him, considering that he's won this race 2 times in the past. He can win from a sprint, he could win solo, he's probably got the strongest team here. And so therefore I think that Pogacar is almost a bit of a must-have pick into your team. And then you want to probably pick one other big rider alongside him, along something like a Evenepoel or a Roglic, depending on which one. But if you don't like either of those, you could certainly drop one of them. But yeah, Evenepoel, of course, we haven't really seen much of him since the Vuelta, where he was, of course, very good, but, you know, it's hard to tell with riders coming in sort of out of nowhere how they're going to be doing. Lots of riders seem to do quite well from this nowadays, and also Evenepoel did really well. You know, he won Liège-Bastogne-Liège off of doing, like, no racing beforehand. So I think Evenepoel's a good pick, a little bit of a gamble there. Alaphilippe, probably not. Roglic, again, won Emilia, was good at Valle d'Aosta, so there's no reason why Roglic won't do well in this race. Barguil, probably not. I think that's quite an expensive rider for what he's worth. You could get, you know, an Enric Mas for the same value, and I think that Mas is a lot better choice, considering that he came fourth at Giro dell'Emilia, and he was also up there in the Valle d'Aosta, and it's those sorts of riders who are competitive in both of those races which I'm really looking at as the main riders who I'm wanting to be picking. Carapaz has had a really good resurgence of form in the latter part of this season. Of course, he's had a pretty bad season in comparison to what we were all expecting, but I think he's having a really good Italian Classics campaign, and I think that Carapaz could honestly top 5 this race. I really like him for this race for some reason. I don't know. I honestly think he could sneak onto the podium on a really good day. Higuita, Madouas, Mollema, Ulissi, I just don't think any of these guys are categorically better than a Carapaz. Vlasov could be, to be honest with you. He has a bit of a decent kick on him, and I would expect Vlasov to be top 10 in this race. He should be the leader for Bora Hansgrohe. Adam Yates, I think, will be one of the UAE riders who is with Pogacar into the finale. Yeah, I expect UAE to control this race quite a bit for just a Pogacar sprint, more than likely. And I think Yates will be there. You know, he was there in Emilia, and I think he'll probably pick up a top 10. And Bardet, I'm not too sure about. He is a little bit maybe not, in my opinion, because he is a good one-day racer. He has done good one-day races in the past, but yeah, I don't know about Bardet this time round, to be honest with you. I just think there are other riders who you're going to be wanting to be picking who are more of like a solid top 10 choice, but I wouldn't write Bardet off. I do think that a top 10 is possible. Hershey's been looking superb recently, like really good. It wouldn't surprise me if him, Yates and Pogacar were the ones kind of in like the final 20k, also the final sort of 10 riders, 15 riders. I think Hershey's been looking really strong, and you know, he'll probably get assist points if Pogacar is going to be at least finishing on the podium. I think the other 18 credit rider is Simon Yates. Of course, he was 3rd place at the Giro dell'Emilia, and therefore I think that he's a really good choice as well. You know, he was also up there in Gran Piemonte. He was in that front group. Well, not the front group, he was in the second group, but you know what I mean. He was up there. So I think that Simon Yates is another good one. Going into 16 credit riders, Landa. Of course, he came out of nowhere last year and came 3rd at Lombardia, so maybe he could do the same again. He's had a pretty similar run-up, in my opinion, so I think that Landa isn't one that I'm writing off. He doesn't really have the sprint, but I think a top 5 is certainly possible if he could re-find what he did last year. Rota, you know, if I had to take my pick between 16 credit riders, I'd probably be picking Landa over Rota. 14 credit riders, Bargioli, really good shout, but of course they've got Evenepoel here. I'd say that Evenepoel is the main man, but Bargioli could certainly be sort of another rider that Quick-Step could be deploying in like in the last kind of finale of the race to try and, you know, upset UAE's control on the race. Rodriguez, probably the best pick for Ineos. Sivakov had a good run of form, but didn't do that great in Emilia. Like he was just like completely off the boil. Maybe he could re-find it, and maybe Sivakov could surprise us. But I'd say of the 2 Ineos Grenadiers, Rodriguez is the safest at the moment. But if you want to take a bit of a punt, then Sivakov's a great one. Of course, Van Wilder. Of course, Van Wilder was, he won Vallecine, and I think that him, Bajoli, and Evenepoel is a really good counter to the UAE trident of a Hershey, Yates, and Pogacar. So I think that, Van Wilder, really good one as well. I think he could maybe to be realistically like a top 20, I would say, is a realistic aim for where he'll finish, but he could surprise and finish higher. Boitrago, it's hard to forget. It's easy to forget that he finished on the podium of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but I'm just not convinced about Boitrago in this race. I just don't think he wasn't like that great in the Vuelta. I just think there are better choices. I don't think Chiccone's taken part. I think that he had a crash, and I'm not even sure if he's actually taken part. So just be wary of that one. Cron, he was climbing very well in the Vuelta, but whether he'll be able to do the same here, I'm not too sure. I would say it's probably too hard, but I could certainly be wrong. Valter could be up there with Roglic. I presume he would be one of the better domestiques that would be able to hang around a bit longer, but at the same time UAE might just shred the race. 10 credit riders, Monique's not bad. O'Connor's a good one as well for 10. That's a pretty cheap one. Scaroni, he was up there in the Coppa Bernocchi where Wout won. He was in that front group, so I think that's pretty decent. Velasquez also a pretty safe one for like a top 25, but you're probably wanting a bit more out of a 10 credit rider. Van Hills is a good one. You could also go with Onley's not bad, but wasn't looking that great in the Crow race. Zana is a good one as well. He was, of course, in that front group in Vallecine, so he's likely one of the better ones you want to be keeping an eye on. Champussin into the 6 credit riders. I think Champussin's probably one of, if not the best one, considering he finished, I think he was 12th at Emilia, I want to say. And, I think he was the best 6 credit rider on that day. And I think in terms of a race which has the strongest correlation to success at Lombardia, Emilia is the one. So I say that Champussin is the best one. You've also got Dinham, who a bit more of a puncher, but maybe he could stretch it to be, getting a top 20 in this race. Gal, of course, fantastic climber. He was okay at Emilia. I think he was top 25. Maybe this race will suit him a bit more. I don't know. Or whether they'll be working for O'Connor. But still, for 6 credits, you can't really go too far wrong. Gregoire, another good one. Maybe a little bit too long in the climbs for him. He's more of a puncher. Healy, I think this race suits him as well. We saw him doing good over this sort of terrain in the Giro d'Italia. Lenny Martinez, of course, he's going to be one of the popular ones. I think he was another top kind of high finisher in Emilia, so I think that he's a good one to be going with too. Max Poole, I think that he could do a good ride, but you never know who DSM will ride for, whether it'll be Bardet or Poole or Onley, you don't really know. If you want to put your morals aside, you could pick the Italian sniper, because he has been looking pretty decent recently. Leonard van Eetvelt as well, one of the better climbers for Lotto Destiny. If they don't go for Cron, then I'd say that Van Eetvelt would be one of their best bets. And then there isn't really that many 4 credit riders to be going at the moment because the start list isn't very complete. So yeah, I can't really comment too much on any of those. Just go for assist points, or there might be some guy called Calzoni who is going to be going into the 4 credit bracket once Q36.5 release their team. So watch out for him. He will likely be the best one. And yeah, I guess in terms of team strategy, you could go with something like this, or maybe you could not go with Evenepoel. Maybe you go with somebody cheaper like a Vlasov, and you can put those credits into Gal and get yourself, you could get Van Wilder or Sivakov, or whoever you want really. Maybe you upgrade that to a mass. You could go with something like that, I guess, if you wanted to, or you could go with O'Connor and spread the points out a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. I'll try and respond to them, and any inquiries that you guys have. And all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut.